Hello, everyone, and thanks for your patience there while we experienced a little bit of technical difficulties. I think we got it all worked out now, so thank you. And again, thank you for joining us for this webinar today. Do you really need a TMS? My name is Brad Zaitzoff, and I'm the Director of Marketing here at Tailwind Transportation Software, and I will be your moderator for today's webinar. And our presenter today is Tailwind President and CEO, Murray Pratt. Murray is an experienced executive who, prior to Tailwind, has led teams selling ski and golf experiences with Interwest, wine with E&J Gallo, and even diapers with Procter & Gamble, which was handy as I think he had 3 young kids at the time. Murray's a passionate in business and volunteerism. Murray has been the president of marketing organizations as well as a local minor hockey association. And when not at Tailwind, Murray can often be found at the rink coaching or shuttling one of his 3 children to some sort of sporting event. Now, Murray is a very customer-focused CEO and has spoken with hundreds, if not thousands, of Tailwind TMS prospects and customers, and brings some great learnings from those discussions to our webinar today. Thanks for leading the webinar, Murray.
Great, thanks, Brad, and I'm glad you mentioned diapers, and I can imagine with 4 kids under 5, that's pretty prescient. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
I want to apologize. We ran into some technical difficulties, and I know your time's important, so I want to make sure that I use that effectively. And over the next 20 minutes, I'm going to share with you some thoughts and perspective on a fundamental question I think that everybody would ask as they go through a journey to look at a TMS system, and that is, do they really need one? I can tell you the sales team here thought it was a little bit heretical, but this is something that I really felt was important to do with our customers and something for us to consider. And the first thing is a philosophy around Benjamin Franklin quote, which is, people are best convinced by things that they themselves discover. And that is ultimately it's a journey that's built around you and what you're trying to accomplish in your business. And it's really hard for any business to assume that they've got a solution for you when you may have spent hundreds of hours or years trying to run the business and all the sweat and toil involved in that. So the disclaimer on this right up front, I believe in the theory, and we believe in the theory of abundance. There's 1.7 million businesses here. So at the end, in this industry. So at the end of it, I'm not going to try to convince you that Tailwind is the right TMS for you, but share with you perspective on some of the things you may consider as you go through this. The industry is growing at 2.3%. There's lots of opportunity for a number of TMSs in here. We aren't the only one, but I think it's important for any TMS provider to find the right fit, as it is definitely important for you looking at it. So this is a framework that I've used with my team and all the folks here, and it's think of it as a gigantic filter funnel that you go through. And the first thing is, why did you attend this? Why were you looking at a TMS? So if something's going on in your business, why do you need to change? Then if you're looking at change, why would you look at software? Then stemming from that, why a TMS system? Why would you look at a web-based TMS system? Why software as a service? And then why one particular vendor over another? So I'm going to walk you through this analysis. First of all, I want to do a quick poll question. Where are you on that this decision continuum? When you come at this, are you just in the initial exploration, or are you down to, hey, I'm looking at a particular vendor over another? I just want to get a little sampling of where you folks are. We'll open up the poll.
Yeah, I'll open up the poll here. So yeah, you can choose one of those options there. So are you at the point where you're asking why change at all? Or why software? Why a TMS system? Why do you want to go web-based? Or are you actually down the path where you're actually looking at one vendor versus another? We'll give people a couple more seconds to get that information in. Interesting results so far. So it looks like some people are asking that at that point of like why a TMS, and some are asking about the vendor. So let's just give a few more seconds, and I'll close that, and I can share the information with everybody. looks like most people have got their information in, so close that and I'll share that with everyone. So yeah, we're looking at everyone's basically either at the point of going, why a TMS, or actually choosing one vendor over the other. So good to see. Good to see. Thanks everyone for that. I'll turn it back over to Murray.
So as I walk through this analysis, based on that, I'm going to analyze or spend more time on the one particular area over another, and I'll spend a little bit more time on TMS system, and then the question around why one vendor or another. So a lot of you probably have already gone through this, which is why change. There's a lot of reasons you change in your business. Could be some growth. Certainly there's new regulations that come into an industry at any time. Everybody knows about hours of service regulations coming in. Technological advancements, the industry certainly moving along on things like artificial intelligence and blockchain technologies. You're also trying to compete in the environment. So your competitors are forcing change. And I think a fundamental thing for a lot of us, and I know that it is relevant to all the people here, is finding that personal work-life balance. I think we could all work 24/7. There's enough work. But the issue is how, with an industry that's constantly moving, do we do it? So there's some fundamental reasons why you're going to change. And change is hard. And I use this analogy of golf grip. My best friend is Brian. Brian and I have golfed for over 45 years together. And on the left is a correct golf grip, and on the right is an incorrect golf grip. And the upper hand, if you turn it over, tends to turn the club and leads to erratic hooks or slices. And as we've gone through 45 years, I love him, and I still can't convince him to change that grip. And the challenge is in making a change in your business is when you're looking at certainly software, what you're looking at is really a change in behavior. And you're looking at a change in behavior for your team as well. And what we find in working with customers, what I found is, initially there's all the excitement. You go through the change curve. Hey, we've got to do something new. We're going to bring it in. It's going to solve all our problems. And then it's going to go down the slope here as you start to wrap your mind around, well, it actually requires us to do something different. We may even need to think about a different business workflow. And then you start to move up and your long-term performance goes up there. Now, I used the golf grip analogy there because it may take you 2 or 3 games to get the grip right so that your score can improve. But a lot of people don't want to sacrifice the score on even the next hole. And so that's an important thing for you to wrap your mind around. You're going to go through a little bit of muck before you're going to get to the promised land. So it ain't easy. And I always love this picture. You can't fake it either. And that is perhaps in changing your business or changing anything, you feel you can get there at an easy go through the shortcuts. And what we found is you just need to set a course and conviction towards it. So the next poll is how do you feel about right now when you're looking at putting in, for those of you certainly, do you need a TMS? And looking at a vendor, how would you rank how you feel right now? Are you the balloon guy? Are you still holding on because you have more paperwork to care of? Are you overwhelmed during the headlines? Are you feeling there must be more to life than searching for TMS systems? Or are you in complete agony right now? I think for the first 10 minutes, we probably put you in agony, but hopefully we're over that now.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. And yeah, if you can, let us know, like, where are you on that kind of feeling where you're at in the process? Are you just kind of holding on with some balloons? Are you dealing with never-ending paperwork? Or are you the deer in the headlights? Or maybe thinking about, is this all there is to life? Or are you just in complete agony and need to find a solution one way or another? All right, let's see, give people a couple more seconds to get some information in there. Another interesting one, everybody seems to be gravitating to just a few. Let's see. All right, we'll give a couple more seconds there. We'll close the poll. Well, so apparently we have a lot of people that like balloons. There, so thanks for that, everyone.
Okay, I think we can all relate to that, and I appreciate, how we feel about it's really important. And it's a fun ride, right? But you're going, how those balloons eventually get popped. I think the original guy who did that was with this plan to keep on popping down, but it went a little awry. But great for you to share that with me. There's other options that you have in your business, and I make sure that my team understands, trying to put software in where it's not needed is important. You can actually throw more labor at it if that's what you wanted to do. You could get better equipment, buy new trucks, new computers. You could develop new products, change your prices, change your payment terms, delay paying people. There's a lot of solutions that are available to you. So it comes down, well, why would you put technology in place? And I think there's some fundamental reasons why, when you're looking at software, it has some very fundamental benefits. One is it automates your activity, and so that frees you up to do higher value work. And I think if you're looking at what you're doing today, you'd go, is that creating the most value, or am I doing the same work over and over and over again? And I think Bill Gates at Microsoft said, anytime you're doing that redundant activity, you want to automate it. The other thing is scalability. It gives you a chance to get disproportional returns to scale. So you don't have to keep on adding more high cost labor as you move down the road. It allows you to scale. You can keep on running more through it. And the other benefit that I'm not sure is always valued as much, but you're building a data asset. That's your equity in there. Your customers are in there. The information and transactions about your customers are in there. And that's ultimately what a lot of times values your business. And finally, it's a fulcrum of collaboration. You may wonder and come in today, how can I get everybody working together? How can I leverage a lot? I feel like I'm carrying so much of that weight, and you can feel that way in running your business. You're saying, how can I get everybody else to work along? So it really brings everybody together. So what are you currently using for your TMS system? You using pen and paper, Excel spreadsheets? Are you using QuickBooks? Or are you using, have you got a TMS system that's installed, or is it in the cloud? Or are you just hoping some accountant like Arnold comes in and cleans it all up for you?
That's right. So yeah, if you could let us know, obviously that you're probably using something, whether or not it is effectively called a TMS or not. Is it paper, whiteboard, Excel? Are you using QuickBooks, client server TMS, cloud-based TMS, or is it Arnold? Is it all in one person's kind of head that's doing it? Okay. All right, give people a couple more seconds here. So fortunately, it doesn't look like it's all residing with Arnold, at least. So, it's not just one person at the moment. That's probably good. All right, so let me just give people a few more seconds here. We'll close that and we'll share some of the information. And we'll share that out. So it looks like it's interesting. 50% said paper, whiteboard, Excel, and then the other ones are not there. So I'm going to assume that must be another issue with the webinar system. But I think most people are on the paper and Excel kind of bandwagon here, Murray. Yeah, and you know what? That's an understandable point, and it usually is a leaping off point into taking a look at a TMS system, especially if you're using pen and paper and Excel spreadsheets. And let me tell you, first of all, are you using a TMS system? Yeah, I think you are. When you have pen and paper and when you have Excel spreadsheets, you're using a system. And I think what's happening for a lot of people that are looking at TMS, they're saying, how do I put this all together just to make it more coherent? And so that gets you into, why would you get into a TMS? And I like this graphic, which shows how the different spreadsheets are used. In Excel, typically, it's a two-dimensional spreadsheet. And basically, what a TMS system does is able to use a three-dimensional database. And because it's three-dimensional, allows you to start to move information in an automated way that actually catches up to the way you're thinking.
And I find in a lot of conversations, and Brad said, hundreds, I'm pretty sure I have over 1,000 conversations with folks. And I tell them, I think what you're trying to do with the TMS is just trying to get it to catch up with the way that you're thinking. How do you tie all of the work you're doing on operations, the stuff that you need to do in your administration side? One of our staff said, a TMS is like you're everywhere all in one place. And I really liked that concept because this industry, more than any other, is constantly it's constantly moving. Trucks, assets all over the place, different offices. And so it's like trying to grab a cloud. How do you grab onto a cloud? And so what you're able to do is bring all this information all in one place, get everybody focused around it, so that you have an information system around which everybody can collaborate. And I think the primary reason why you would put in TMS into your business is it gives you an opportunity to improve your business continuously. And if you look at it, what it's doing is putting all that data together to give you information which drives decisions. And ultimately, those decisions are the things that are going to give you a competitive advantage in the marketplace, allow you to survive, or make fundamental choices about your business. This is an example of a work environment, and this could work as well as any. And I've been in offices around where people have the whiteboards, and they're dispatching whiteboards, and they have Excel spreadsheets, and they have pen and paper or paper on a desk. They have it in files. Again, all it's doing is trying to bring it all together into one software system. And if I could recommend to all of you, this was a book I love to recommend to a lot of people that are running their own businesses. I had the fortune when I was in my early 40s to launch my own business, and I really grew as a person around that. And one of the books I read, I remember the bus rides home, was called The E-Myth, which is the entrepreneurial myth. And in this book, he talks about working in your business versus working on your business. And the biggest challenge that we all have is getting so ensconced in the details and consumed by trying to keep everything going that you can't stand back and think about what's going to happen next. Like, you're not working on the business to make it better, which is continuously improving it. So if you're consumed by what's going to happen in the next hour, the next day, pretty hard to think about what's going to make next week better, next month better, next quarter better. And as you put into a TMS system, what happens? You start to evolve and you see the horizon open up a little bit more on your business. You're starting to make decisions further down. The automation of the TMS system does that for you. There's different choices in there. So I just want to go through that. We've talked about why you would change your business, why software, you'd look at it, why a TMS. So we talked about the benefits of that. And there's choices of different types of TMS systems out there. There's web-based TMS systems that are stored in the cloud. They're accessible at work and at home. We've got people on our staff that tell the story of dispatching and getting woken up at 3 a.m. by a phone call because a driver, unfortunately, has had the challenges on the side of the highway, a breakdown. They had to drive into work. They had to go and find information at work and get some help to the individual. Now you could just log in from home and get a hold of that information. The other thing is different devices, whether it's a laptop or a desktop or a tablet, you can get the information. And then finding talent. A lot of people, especially in brokerage industries, are working with agents across a network, and the ability to collaborate and for the head office to understand what's going on in disparate branches is really essential. So there's some real significant benefits of web-based. Now, offshoot of being web-based is software as a service, and software as a service tends to be a business model, and it's a conceptual idea. Obviously, there's software, but it's stored in a public cloud, and it tends to be less capital intensive. If you don't have to invest into licenses and servers. You're also not having to search for tech personnel that may or may not be available or have the skill set that works in your environment. And by putting it into a cloud environment, I think over half the software in business software in the world now is now in a software as a service environment. and it connects to other applications. I think we understand that as consumers, both on our, our Google apps, our iPhone, all the applications and what it can do to extend the capability of your business. And so software as a service allows you to get the software on a just-in-time basis and allows you to get to the software more quickly. And one of the benefits of that is a lot of times you get a chance to trial it and find out if that's going to work for your business before you have to make a decision on a big investment, not fully understanding and knowing what's to be expected. I certainly think vendors all come into everything in this industry generally well-meaning, and they're trying to help you, but the way in which it's described may not meet with what you have in mind. And that gap has happened throughout software for the longest time. And so software as a service has really gone at that issue and said, why don't you give people a chance to try it, see how it works for them? And there's lots of opportunity and options for you in that space as well. So now it gets down to one particular vendor over another. And at the end of the day, there's a few vendors that may work for you. And you have to go through a process. And so some of you are in that area right now. So I'll spend a time a little bit about that. One big distinction to look at is, are you looking for a perfect or an optimal solution? Right now, you look at it, it may work okay for you, and you may look at it and say, well, it's not going to work for me in the future. Or you may look at it and say, it's really just broken now, I need help. So depends on your situation. A distinction between finding something that's the ideal fit versus optimal fit, and why is that different? A lot of times you may have a few people in your business that are needing different things from it. Your operations people, dispatching needs a certain thing from it. Your administration need another. Each of them operating in their own way will probably sacrifice something at the other side. So you're looking at something that can work best for the company, not necessarily for one particular department. And so there's different things that you're going to look at. The application Excel, the services, am I being helped with that? The pricing model, how do they do it? Do they finance it? The cultural fit. Do you like working with the folks at the company? What's the future look like? Are they building something beyond just what's there? And the stability of the organization. You probably want to find a partner that's going to be there for the long run. Or you may not. You just want to try something and go around the horn and see what works. But it comes up to you. But those are some of the criteria, and you can develop your own scorecard or whichever way that is, and tick the boxes depending on who you're talking to. One of another book I'm going to recommend to you it's a great book by Barry Schwartz called Why More is Less. Choice in it is how much. There's probably a point at which you'll scan the market and you'll go, oh man, I can't figure it out. And so you may want to narrow it down to a few and get to a choice. But he did a lot of analysis on choice, and there was a couple things that his research showed, and that is satisfaction with the choice has as much to do with what you do after the decision as it does before. And so it was some interesting thoughts, because the more choice that you have out there, the more you're going, well, I wish I should have taken that. And he broke the world into maximizers and satisficers. If you're interested, take a look at his talk on YouTube. It's fascinating. He's a pretty funny guy. But it's something that I've looked at. And when I took my son out to buy basketball shoes the other day, we looked at the wall and there's like about 50 sneakers. I don't think the kid can make a choice. I had to work with him. But I think there's a few that can help you and sort of narrow that down, and then start moving forward and then set a course of action for yourself. Other considerations you think at. So some of you are looking, are they helping you make a choice, or are they forcing you to make a decision? Software as a service has fundamentally changed the way selling occurs. And that is, it's built around a buyer's journey and a customer journey, not the seller journey. Are they giving you all the information to make a decision? Are they giving you options beyond your own? Are they just looking at a way to fit their product in? Or are they saying, hey, you've got options, to the point where even considering, dare I say, what I said here, you may not need the software. And is the marriage going to work a little bit beyond the courtship? So you have to make those determinations. So we've covered off why change, why software, why TMS system, and then go through why your choices between web-based or software as a service, and why a particular vendor. And the last thing comes, why would you do it now? This is Brad at home with one of his 4 kids. Why change now? Now sometimes folks, you just got to change. And I've been there. And so the one thing that I would say is it's essentially a trade-off. It's the pain and inconvenience of the existing situation with the pain and inconvenience of making the change. And you're trading off, you're going to go through that and say, is the long term going to pay off? Which really gets you to the original thing is, are you ready for change? Do you want to do that? And there's some benefits of doing that. And I think you can look back. I certainly have looked back a lot of times in my life and said, gee, I'm glad I made that decision then. So some of you are looking at putting a TMS system. That's a fundamental decision you're going to make. And I think years down the road, you go, hey, I'm glad we did it. Imagine if we didn't. And then for those that are looking at it and saying, why this vendor over them, you'll look at it and say, oh, I'm glad we chose them. And how the heck did we end up with that group? You're going to find those decisions. And you just recalled out of this a story. I don't know where I read it, but it was the Cliffhanger movie. They asked Sylvester Stallone, "Did you like rock climbing?" He said, "I never learned to like it because I was so scared. The benefits of it never outweighed my fear." So only you can make the decision on that. And finding the optimal decision for your business. Juggle the balls or balance something on your head. This is a typical picture of an administrator in a logistics business, I'm sure, and an owner. Some of you can put yourself in there right now. You're just trying to get to the best decision you can make out of a set of, honestly, in a lot of cases, imperfect choices. And there may be no perfect choice because you've built a unique decision. So at the end of the day, you're looking for something that may help you. And the last thing I'd say is it comes down to really a fundamental and personal question of what's important to you. And I put up my hero here. I'm a big hockey. Gordie Howe, he passed a couple of years ago. And his son, Murray, which I loved his name, by the way, a young son, Murray, he came into our community and he spoke at one of our schools. And I read his book. And it was a powerful message that I learned from Gordie Howe's life. And as much as I admired all his hockey and what he was able to do, I came away from that book, knowing so much more about the man and his character and understanding how wonderful he truly was. And I felt bad because in the 60s, he was told he was the highest paid player in hockey. And the owner actually was lying to him. And only one of his teammates came and said, Gordie, I know you're the greatest player, but you're being paid average. And that owner took advantage of him. And I always felt bad that somebody took advantage of Gordie Howe, my hero, and did it. Now, he renegotiated and he set up a series of arenas for youths across Michigan and across places in the United States. And he did a lot for hockey. But I realized after reading the book that money wasn't important to Gordie Howe. And that was a shocking thing to figure out. Because of his character and what he stood for, everybody wanted Gordie Howe to be around them. And they would do whatever it took, including a man in our community who made him a part owner of a junior team. And they would take Gordie on trips. They just wanted to be in his presence. And at the end of the day, when you're building a business out there, think about the values and the things that you're building and what makes it enduring, what attracts people to it. And to the degree a TMS is going to help you do that, you put it in. And, you may want it to because you want to create more money. You may want to do it because you want to create a sense of legacy. You want to leave something to your children, the next generation. You may want to do something for your employees. But ultimately, that is the arbiter of which you can look through this as well. So we've gone through all of the different reasons why what the thinking would go through that. I hope I've answered and helped you with some of the dialogue that's going on inside your head on why a TMS and then why a particular vendor. Beyond this, there's a whole crew and team that will take care of you if you so decide that Tailwind is one of the ones to put in your consideration set. So thanks again for spending your time here today. Hope I've been able to help you along the way. So I guess we'll open it up to some questions now.
Yeah, thank you very much, Murray. And yeah, we'll open up the floor to questions. And if you have other ones that do come through, please ask them using the question box there on your screen. But some have come in during the presentation, so we'll start with those. Is a web-based TMS as safe as one hosted on my own server?
That's interesting. I used to work in the CRM industry, so CRM software, customer relationship management software. And I remember when Salesforce first came out, and we sold client server software, and we used to create a lot of concern with customers. Well, it's in the cloud. Where is it? How is it done? Well, now it's almost flipped, and I do know that there's people that we've talked to that have run into on their own client servers not having all on their own system, not having all the protection and security that they need, where somebody's come in and held them for ransom. Ransomware has got on their site, and obviously there's a lot of stuff going on out there where people are able to reach into it. Our particular application we put on the Azure platform, and the reason we did that is it's backed by Microsoft, who has a background in security, runs 11% of the traffic on the internet. And it's the opposite now. Really, you're more secure in those environments with all the architecture and power that they have. But the degree to which you make sure you protect your passwords and usernames and what you're in control of and logging in, that's where the security resides with you as it relates to software as a service.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Someone else is asking, I have 5 trucks and broker a bit to partners. Does a TMS make sense for me?
I don't know. I got asked that all the time. Okay, should I be doing that? And I really don't know, and I can't make that decision. But the biggest thing I would say is go try out some software, and people should be giving you a free trial, being able to go see if it works. And if you see after some initial period of time, you feel you can improve it, or you've seen some immediate improvement quicker than you thought, then go do that. It's rather presumptuous, and that's what I share with our sales group here and how I felt when I was talking to customers. Again, I go back to, you spent 10 years in the business. We're in a phone call, and you're asking me the question, is it better for you? And it's like, I haven't walked in your shoes for 14 years. I don't know. But I've got a mechanism to help you with it. I'm confident that the application works where it's applied appropriately, but that's what we're going to figure out together. That's not my determination and doing that. I'm not going to sell or persuade you that it is. I want you to arrive at that determination for yourself.
Yeah, that makes sense. And starting to tail off a little bit as far as questions, but we have this one that came in. What specific questions should I ask a TMS provider?
Well, I think the framework I gave you there is probably one that you could use. I think that as you go along, you're going to come up with the different things. I think it's not only the questions you ask, but it's how and the way in which they respond. Half the process, I think, is a rational process. Half of it is emotional. And so do they sound helpful? Are they trying to help you with that? You'll have probably very specific requirements that you've got for your TMS system. And a lot of times that may reside in the fact you're in a TMS system already. And sometimes I hear people wanting to just ask questions and say, I just want it to be the same. I want it to do everything I've done now. If you were looking, there's certain things that you were looking for. And so you may get some benefits in a TMS system that you were looking for, but the trade-off is you have to give up a few things that you had in your existing processes. and it's hard for people to change. But you have to make that, again, that trade-off and weigh that. Is it worth the effort? Was it so profound to do that?
All right, it looks like that's most of the questions that we've had, but if others do come up, please do feel free to reach out to us by email. Actually, Murray, if you move to the next slide, I think we've got our email and phone numbers there.
Oh, we don't. There it is.
Oh, that's
there's the crew. There's Brad's crew. So there it is.
Yeah.
That's what happens. You go for that third child and get twins. But anyways.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
But yes, this is you can get a hold of us. Email info@tailwindtms.com. Phone 1-866-441-0441. Thank you, Murray, for leading today's webinar, and all of you who took time to join us today. At the end of the webinar, there is going to be a super quick 5-question survey, so hopefully you can fill that out. And if you feel that Tailwind could either help you or a colleague in a friendly business, please send us an email or visit our site and sign up for a free trial. See how it could work in your business. And from all of us at Tailwind, thank you again, and we hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye now.
Bye-bye.